The Spin-off Podcast Network.
This is Kiwi is back for a brand new season with more inspiring kōrero from special guests including rugby player, father and role model TJ Perenara.
My family bring me joy. Rugby brings me joy too, but it's not the same joy as my family brings me.
And global dancer and choreographer Kirsten Dodgen.
For some reason, people think I'm very intimidating.
Listen to the new season of This is Kiwi, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network in collaboration with KiwiBank. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everyone, it's me, Drew Opwalo, host of the Comment Section Show. Come join me and one of my iconic special guests every week on the show as we dive into the dreaded comment sections of our tagged videos and take down the most terrible men on the internet, period. Somehow, they won't go away no matter what I do, no matter how incredibly awful and mean I am to them, but I don't mind doing this work. In fact, if I'm being honest, I think it's God's work. So make sure y'all follow me on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes every Wednesday.
I'm just a husk, man. I'm so bad right now.
Kia ora, welcome along to The Real Pod. My name is Janie. I'm joined by Duncan Grieve, managing editor of The Spin-off and Batch fan. Are you still?
Well, I think for most of the season I wasn't. In fact, I've written something which by the time you listen to this will be live on The Spin-off, kind of trying to dig into why I fell so profoundly out of love with the franchise this season. But
You brought it back.
I mean, something happened this last week.
Okay, if you're here for the first time, that's weird, but thanks for joining us for our recap of the final of the Bachelor NZ, featuring Moses Mackay as the lead. This is a reality TV recap podcast, and we also have a group on the internet called Real Pod Corner, which you can find on Facebook. Feel free to go join and chat Batch and maths and other reality TV and other just life stuff as well.
People say it's the last nice place on the internet.
Yeah, and I'm inviting all and sundry to come in and ruin it. So facebook.com/groups/Real Pod Corner. Let's Batch. Let's talk about, how do we do this? Do we start with the final rose? Do we finish with the final rose?
We both just watched it, which is rare. Normally we're doing this sort of tape delayed, we might have finished it days earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with the emotion of this. And weirdly, it's not like the outcome was unexpected, but the emotion that it came with was for sure.
The outcome was entirely unexpected for me.
Really?
Yeah, but I have a note here saying this is the most Bachelor-y the whole season has been, based on that last 10 minutes.
I think it's the most Bachelor-y. Is it the most Bachelor-y any of the New Zealand stuff's ever been?
Yeah, maybe.
Just in terms of you do not know who is going to, inverted commas, win, and you know that someone is going to be devastated. And who saw that coming all those 3 or 4 days ago when we started this journey?
Okay, well, let's go back. Let's go back to actually one of the more emotional parts of the season, which was the Sunday night episode. Monday night episode? Sorry, I'm getting confused with maths. The Monday night episode where Shenae Excel brings her time on the show to an end. She's very emotional. Moses got really emotional. And he said, this one hurts the most. And I made me think, how far would Shenae have gone had she not walked herself out that day?
But I mean, maybe. But I think it was less about Shenae and Moses' connection versus it exposing the kind of flaws in this accelerated version of the show, and that he just didn't get time to really explore the stuff, and he had to make decisions, and they, it felt like they were talking as victims of an accelerated production there. If I'm not overstating it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely are, and it also presented a really strange situation in which the final three who were doing hometowns were there by default because Shenae took herself out of the competition. And so if you were one of those three girls, you had to be sitting there going, was I even supposed to be here? Was I even supposed to be taking Moses back to meet my family? Was he going to, was I supposed to be the one who was going home this week? And I think the fact that they're all wondering is because none of them have really been with him long enough to really have any certainty about their position in the game.
Yeah. I mean, and so this season has been, and I'm still waiting on some data from TVNZ about the duration of the shoot for this season versus last season of The Bachelorette, the 2020 season of The Bachelorette, because my sense is that it's less than half the length. And, you know, and I write about this again, so forgive me if you've read this, but like, of all the reality shows we watch, this is almost the one that can least stand accelerating. Like, you can do Survivor fast, you can do X Factor fast, you can do The Apprentice fast. You do Bachelor fast, and people just don't get emotions. And because the things that they went on for matter. Like, they still went through that enormous process of preparing themselves to be as ferociously vulnerable as it takes to be on TV talking about your partner dying, or, you know, basically saying I'm single and I want to find love and I'm willing to do this to find it. I think sometimes when you podcast or write about this stuff, you can tend to abstract it to these are just characters, and most of the time that works. But I think watching this season, you've really got the sense of this, what happens when you try to do too much too fast with people, and they're all, I mean, I could just be wildly misreading this or projecting or something, but it feels to me like they're all kind of damaged by this, and you never saw that more so than with the 4 people who self-eliminated, but particularly with Shenae in that moment.
I think it's lovely that you're being so philosophical about the whole thing and being empathetic towards the journeys of the girls. As a viewer, all I care about is the good telly, and it just wasn't really great telly for that same reason, that I wasn't convinced about the relationships. All the sort of physical affection came really, really late in the piece. And I'm not like some kind of horn dog or anything, but I just, that's the visual that we get that gives us the signs that the feelings are there, when they start getting touchy-feely and having kisses here and there. And you can really, you see it in this last week, and particularly in this last episode, when the chemistry and connection is there, you can see it, and it really hasn't been there this whole entire time. So the whole thing's been quite unconvincing. In that way, the final was a real surprise and a pleasant one.
Yeah, I think that we only realised that there was anything going on at all basically in the last 2-3 episodes. Up until then, even when he did finally kiss Annie, there was some kind of a sense that it was a little bit grudging, or okay, I guess I have to do this at some point, and Jesus, we're on a boat and the sun's going down, and all right.
And she keeps leaning in.
I've got a blanket so I can kind of half hide it. There was just the whole season felt like it was leading up to, actually, especially the way he kept talking about the potential to choose no one. It felt like it was leading up to that, and obviously that was an intentional sort of edit, post-direct decision to leave in. But as a result, it carried all of, it almost, because it was so unexpected, the fact of it being a really kind of emotionally rending finale was it hit you.
I have to say, I'm not sure I agree with this idea that production have taken in both the Bachelorette and the Bachelor seasons this year of really trying to hoodwink us about what's going to happen at the end. So with Hamish, it felt like, on Hamish and Lexi, it felt like they really did a great job of convincing us that Hamish was a bumbling idiot and that Lexi had nothing but platonic feelings for him. To the point where I was completely convinced there was no way that she was going to choose Hamish.
She was unchoosable.
And in this instance, they've done so much talking about Moses possibly picking no one, filled with their own excitement, knowing that he does in fact pick someone. But as a viewer, I feel like I probably would have had more buy-in if I knew there was going to be a result at the end of it. If I'd seen promos of him pacing around with a ring, or him saying a voiceover in a promo I know I've picked the right one, or something like that. I actually think I would have been more, I don't know.
You'd have been more invested in the season.
Totally.
Because it would have indicated that through all this kind of bumbling and weird, bad emotion that some real feelings would one day come.
Yeah, and I'd be on the lookout for it. And I think we've just been so burnt by people not choosing anyone in this franchise, in this country, that it just, I don't know, or when they do, they toss a coin and it's quite blatantly not real. That, it's quite nice to have a nice story that we can look forward to while we're watching.
Yes.
Anyway, let's talk about the hometowns. They were quite fun. Annie's in particular was interesting.
Oh, my God.
Her parents are loaded, right? That was like an estate.
I think they live in a cathedral.
They're both her parents. So they talk about her dad. I don't know if they did, but her dad's an orthopaedic surgeon, and so's her mum. Did they meet in surgery, do you think?
I've got no idea. They were such an amazing family. Like, I got the strongest. We've been exchanging messages. Both Callum and Joe talked about it as having like Get Out, like Bucky Hale version of the Get Out vibes. I was just convinced that this was the closest thing I've ever seen to a real life Cullens. It was just the strongest.
When you say Cullens, just for context, as
Twilight.
in Twilight.
Twilight, people know, and this, because they're all very beautiful, somehow kind of ageless, very well like controlled, very well kept, lived in. Obviously, like the Cullens residence was kind of different, but this is where you can imagine some kind of
the New Zealand Cullens would live.
The New Zealand Cullens would live in this sort of Gothic mansion, and that I mean. I just want to know everything about that family. Also, you can see that Annie is just set up as this black sheep of that family who, just by the process of being a normal person who has lived, has somehow like disappointed them or something.
Yeah.
And that was quite heavy in the air as well.
I thought the fact that Mum served up a casserole to be quite telling, because I wouldn't consider a casserole a very fancy dinner guest in front of the telly type meal to serve up. I feel like it was just, it's like serving the cold shoulder.
It was one of the great hometowns, I think.
Yeah, they had the most romantic kiss in the rain. I've got a thing about rain kisses, and it can't be like, it's raining, let's go out and have a pash in the rain. It's got to be like, you happen to be in a moment and then it starts raining and then you have a kiss. And to me, that's like the most romantic kind of kiss you can have.
I think that's fair. Especially because they never considered moving.
No. And so you're basically sacrificing like your hair and your makeup and everything to have this kiss. That's why it's so romantic. There's so much at stake. I thought that was really cute. And then the brother's terrifying. I don't know why. Something about like the word you used there before was controlled. And they all had this kind of, these like fixed smiles that weren't full. And I don't know if that's just how they do it in Dunedin, or
I don't think it is.
No. Or if that's just Annie's family, or perhaps they were uncomfortable in front of the camera. Who knows? But it was, I don't know, it was a weirdly tense hometown.
Yeah, a lot on it. I'm really happy for Annie that the result went the way it did based on that, because I feel like she deserves like a goofy spiritual dude like Moses. Yeah, even down to the way that they responded to him talking about tarot readings.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think, honestly, I'm probably in the tarot's bullshit camp. But I think it's totally fine to be into tarot. Like, most of the stuff I believe in is fundamentally bullshit too.
I wouldn't even say that Moses is into tarot necessarily. They just had a reading.
Definitely is.
They just had a read, but they don't know that as well. All they said was that there was a reading as part of this like TV stunt, you know?
They're just like brutal, kind of cool rationalist types.
Yeah. I thought it was quite funny how the brother was talking about how she's quite settled in Wanaka at the moment as well, in the sense that anyone who's living in Wanaka is not settled. They're like, you're there, you're a transplant and you're doing some adventure sports and then you're gone again. Like, she'll go anywhere. It's fine, Annie's brother. Just chill out. Lana's hometown was super cute.
I love her parents.
Lana and Moses went up in a helicopter. That was actually pretty nice. And Moses like, this would have cost a fortune. She's like, my treat. Lana, I really like Lana. I don't think she's the one for Moses. But
no, but she's definitely the one that you were, out of everyone on the show, I was like, you could come on Real Pod.
Yeah,
We
totally.
can hang out.
Yeah. She's very relaxed and happy now she's back home, and I really liked her parents, Maggie and John.
John had a cool shirt. Loved their house.
And also, Maggie's done some pole dancing. Didn't see that coming. Loved
No, I don't think. I think that was just. I think they did that with the edit.
it. Really?
I wasn't. I reckon if you rewatch that, it's not 100% clear that she's done the pole dancing.
You know what I'm not going to do? Rewatch it.
No, absolutely never again. No one will.
But then she got quite down with Moses in the kitchen. They had a little phone, so maybe slightly racist-y phone conversation when he's like Mr. Lee, Mr. Broccoli, but he put on a bit of a voice. And he said Mr. Lee.
I think I was blacking out during that.
Okay, I don't, anyway, it was a cute exchange aside from maybe that tense bit. And Lana's like, Mum, you always steal my boys. Not what you want. I think Mum was just keen to get backstage at a Solomeo concert.
I think she's too young.
I think Lana said that she was keen to get backstage. Well, she said she was keen to get backstage. I think she was just like laying on the moves, just really wants that famous son-in-law. The open relationship thing comes up, as we suspected, huge miscommunication.
Well, it wasn't a miscommunication. It was intentional misdirection from Shenae. And credit to Lana. Like, I would have been pretty apoplectic about that. I'd have gone and recriminated, but she was very chill.
Lana's just a chill kind of a gal. So chill that when they nearly kiss and they don't, she's like, fine, just leave it at that then, I guess. That's like your last chance.
Yeah, well, she knows, though.
She knows. Shanae's hometown was, what are they? They did some painting. Oh, that's right. They did that blowy painting. Boring AF. But then when she sat in his lap, and that was like quite a, tense physical connection they had.
Lots of hands on hands.
And then old mate paint instructor walks in just when they're about to have a kiss. It was great.
Yeah.
And again, they made a big deal about Shenae always having a third wheel on her dates, right to the very last, as it turns out. When they go to meet Shenae's family, so we've got Auntie and a bunch of best mates.
Yep.
They sit down at the outdoor table. Duncan, I was appalled. Not a single snack out.
They just exhausted the snack budget.
All right,
They had that one platter they kept pulling out and couldn't fly it up.
Yeah. So Shenae was forced to make a pineapple pie. Which
seems like she massively botched it.
Everyone dragged her for not being a cook.
And the way Moses was like, you'd really massively fucked the base.
The base
idiot.
is miles too
I was
thick.
like, that's strong.
Yeah.
But that probably is where she lost that final rose, I think.
I have a theory of where she lost the final rose, and it wasn't actually at the pineapple pie.
Okay. No, let's hear it.
Well, it'll come up. So the next episode, we've got down to final 3, going down to 2. We start with the rose ceremony, which is shot at the Hunting Lodge, my wedding venue, by the way.
Whoa.
But also where who got married? Tell It Like It Is. What's his name? And Julia from Maths NZ. They were cursed. Anyway, not a great sign. They have, I think, like just a really staid conversation, the three of them sitting around, super awkward. Like, do you like cleaning? Oh, we should go play a game or something.
I mean,
it was
they
awful.
played that up, but it was just terrible. I don't even know what the point of it was.
In the last rose ceremony, Lana goes home. There was a great bit where Art walked off into the vines. He's leaving, you say goodbye and then you'll be leaving. He walks off into the vines behind Moses. And then they cut to the girls all hugging and crying. And then they cut back to Moses looking pensive. And in the very background, you can see Art ducking down and running off. It's not like a gag.
Great
You're not even
find.
supposed to see it. You can't even make out that it's Art, except for the colour that he's wearing. And he's just trying to get out a shot. And they just leave it in.
Because it's New Zealand.
Well, that's the only shot they had. We have, this is weird and doesn't happen ordinarily on a final 2 situation, a group date with just the 2 of them.
Oh, that made me really angry. And then even with the family visits, the fact that they just kept putting them
Oh my
together.
God, that was
just
crazy.
by one more day.
One more, or just morning and afternoon. They don't have to.
Something. It was just, that was really, really upsetting.
So bizarre. So Moses takes the ladies to a piano recital at a retirement home. Which I actually really enjoyed.
Same, but also a real funny thing to do.
Yeah. And he was like, are you keen? And Annie's like, so keen. And she's really trying to look enthusiastic, but she was dead in the eyes.
No, but I think she was trying to be in the moment, to really feel it. I have to say, Moses singing opera is like a profoundly hot thing to happen. When he sings a modern song of his own composition, just no. It's very bad. It feels like, when they've got an hour to make up a song, but like a proper singer and what have you, but still just so bad.
Is this the song that he sang at the retirement village?
Yes, it is.
Did you pick up on the lines? When you're suspended in the air, let go and breathe out your fear. Between the ocean and the sky, there's a place where you can cry, and I'll be right there. Here.
No.
That is about Shenae. Without a doubt, because she
true.
talked about when they were parasailing about being between the ocean and the sky, and her, and the significance of that being a place where she could connect with her brother, who was lost at sea. And he talked about being suspended in the air, parasailing. I think he wrote that song about the experience, not just those last two ladies.
Jonathan, you're one of New Zealand's greatest musicians and in probably our best current band.
Why the hell are you sitting in here recording this bullshit?
Follow
the real
up.
question.
Following a passion for quality.
What do you what do you think of those lyrics that Jane just read to you?
I'm honestly touched by them post Jane's explanation. I think the hanging in the air thing, I'm nervous about using the word hanging in song.
Oh, it's suspended. Suspended in the air.
Much better.
Yeah,
so
it's
there you go.
for hanging.
The pro, Moses, he avoided that.
Yeah.
He avoided that potential pitfall, Suspended in the air between the ocean and the sea.
Suspended in the air, let go and breathe out your fear. Between the ocean and the sky, there's a place where you can cry, and I'll be right here.
Okay, so like rhyming couplets that are that obvious, like AABB, is just, that does sort of kind of hit the cringe factor, I reckon. Like you kind of want to try and overcome that when you can.
Okay.
I go with that. But then also, they're like nice short lines. It's like quite hard to get a lot of meaning in short lines like that. I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm quite into it.
This is great. We're going to have to call on you for some spot music criticism more often.
I thought, because I was such a big Shenae fan, and I felt that these lines were for her, I felt that it was quite lovely. And then a lady nearly fell over.
Yeah, but that's a statistical inevitability at Sole Mio concerts.
They meet Moses' family, both, as you mentioned, in the same afternoon. Like, they're literally both at the house at the same time. One's in the front garden, one's in the courtyard. He's got a couple of friends, including one of his Sole Mio mates.
Who is, by the way, just so big now. Like, did you see his arms?
I mean, I wasn't looking.
They were like legs.
Okay.
That was crazy. He must be so strong.
Like legs. Did they mention the fact that he was a bandmate?
I think maybe very glancingly.
That's a missed opportunity.
I think that they should have gone. But I quite like the vibe of those three dudes because they looked like they just had a massive night on the sauce and we're just kind of trying to crack each other up, was the vibe.
Yeah. And then so Annie would talk to them and Shenae would be out with the fam, and then they'd swap and Shenae would talk to the friends, and they'd like, basically, I don't know if they walked down the same hallway and crossed paths, and then he brought them all together. What insanity is this? Like, how awkward and uncomfortable is it for those girls? There's no way they can relax into hanging with the fam. And
they don't talk about why they don't have some made-up justification. It's just, it's something we're doing. We're out of time. The contract's coming up, so we just have to just do this horrible thing.
Yeah.
Which definitely will make Shenae, when she looks back on it, feel kind of like it cheapened the experience, I think.
I'll tell you what, though, when my children grow up and they bring someone home to meet the fam.
With the cameras,
I'm definitely pulling out the line, would you like to go and look at the grapevine?
Sounds like such a euphemism, eh?
It wasn't. I mean, it was a fine grapevine, I guess, but I don't feel like it was a let's go and have a look at this thing kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to shit all over Moses' mum's grapevine. Lovely grapevine.
Moses' mum rocks.
Okay.
And his auntie rocks.
Sis doesn't think Annie's the one. Brother thinks Shenae is the one. 2 friends think Annie, 1 friend thinks Shenae.
He's got no good direction. It's just, umpire's call.
Okay, and then we hear more of him going, I came with no one, I might leave with no one, it's okay. No, it's not.
That's the thing. It's like, it's okay for you, mate.
It's not okay for the girls. It's not okay for us as the viewers. It's not okay for the franchise. So just do a worst case scenario, do a Geordie Porty, just pick whichever one.
I could have done with a bit of Jodie Rimmer with this energy around that type, to be honest, on the voiceover.
Okay, final episode, which we've just watched. We start with the fantasy dates. Annie's off to the ballet, which at first I was like, oh, snort. And then I remembered she's a dancer. This is like right up her alley. They get to go on the stage for 15 minutes, which seems like just not a big deal to me. But I guess Annie, it's a stage.
I don't know. I thought this was quite romantic.
I thought it was romantic. And I loved seeing her dance. I thought it was romantic until I realised they weren't watching the ballet. There's no way they were watching the ballet. There was no one. I think they faked their reactions. There was no one else in the theatre. If there was, there's no way they'd be sitting there with kind of enough light.
You don't think they watched it at all?
I don't think they watched it at all. I think that they used footage provided by the ballet company. We didn't see any shots of them and the ballet at the same time. It was purely.
If you stand this up, that's a kind of minor reality TV scandal.
Look,
I agree that because they were in the box, right?
I mean, we didn't really see. It was close on them.
I think that they were in the box, and I think those might have been stage shots.
They were definitely staged. They maybe watched it and they weren't shot in the moment. Because
Moses just has this very kind of faraway look in his eyes that doesn't seem like he's focusing on a thing.
But also, when the stage was very dark, I watched the cut back to them, and they were still lit in exactly the same way as when the stage was really light.
That doesn't mean that. That just means that they weren't temporarily linked.
Don't think they were watching the ballet in the moment. Maybe they watched a matinee. Maybe they didn't watch it at all. This is the thing that I most want to know.
Do you also think that this really is Annie's dancer idol?
No, I think she just liked the character. I think she was just like, I like that character on the stage today.
Really?
Yeah.
No, but I thought it was like a person's name.
I think it was the character's name.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sort of well versed in the ballet.
This is just very well informed chat.
Anyway, I mean, if we're going to do research, it's not going to be about the bloody ballet, is it? Anyway, they go meet the villains of the show, and they get given. Annie gets given a rose. That
rose felt like I feel like if I was holding that and I was Annie, and I'd feel like that was extremely bad juju for a chance of winning.
I love the way that they said to her, this rose, I hear that roses are special, but this rose is different. It's really special. I was like, well, Moses' roses are clearly not. They go to a hotel, and I think Annie was ripped in terms of ACOM for her fantasy date.
No, that's that new Park Hyatt, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they open up the blind. Oh, look at the view, and it's like buildings.
No. Oh, maybe she's on the other side, do you think?
Well, I mean, it was nice, but I just think Shenae got this beautiful homestead with a pool and an outdoor bath. And
True.
Even then, she couldn't make it work.
I feel like Annie genuinely was torn and genuinely regretted not doing the overnight. While
I was watching that, I was shaking my hands at the screen going, why, Annie, why are you not staying overnight? He's done the thing where he's made it really clear there's not going to be any hanky-panky. So you've got like a proper, you don't have to worry what anyone thinks of you, and you shouldn't have to, even if you did want to root all night, that's fine.
That's absolutely fine. I was worried that maybe she thought the Cullens might watch and...
Oh, true. Yeah. And she did the thing which is like, I hate to think of Shenae spending a night with him. Even if I slept on the couch, I'd hate to think. So, she's essentially doing Shenae a solid by being like, I don't want Shenae to feel bad. Shenae was just like, yep, let's stay the night, But look, I think it's perfectly acceptable to stay overnight and get what would probably be 5 times as much one-on-one time together than you've had throughout the entire experience, all in one night and without cameras.
I almost think it's like, it should almost be compulsory, especially when they're doing these super short forms. The idea that they could go to the conclusion without having had that time is just kind of unimaginable.
I know. It's bonkers. Anyway, she decides not to spend the night in the suite with Moses, and then he goes off and meets up with Shenae somewhere around Omaha. They go fishing. They're out in a bloody boat again. They've got another third wheel on their date.
Boring.
The third wheel called her Chantal, which is not the first time she's had her name confused by someone on the show. But then they go to this massive luxury house, and I just think it's a beautiful, perfect setting for a fantasy night. They talk about opening the fish up from the bum hole, which was
Over and over.
over and over. I mean, it's something the real pod would do, but
Don't lower yourself, Bachelor.
and then he gets out the guitar and strums a song to Shenae's poem that she wrote for the talent contest. And then he carries on. He does her poem, and then he adds the invite to stay the night into the song and includes the warning that nothing's going to happen between them. I thought it was kind of cute. I thought it was like sweet and a little bit funny.
Yep.
And also I thought the fish looked really yum. And that was probably because I was still hungry from not having any food on the table apart from that pineapple pie this whole week. And the casserole. I was really eye hungry and it looked yum as. They share a bath. He asks her to stay. She says she's consulted the great guru Art, and he said it's not about intimacy, it's about a chance to talk. And so she's like, yes, I'm going to stay. And that's where I reckon she fucked it. Not Moses. I think she fucked her opportunity for the win. I thought it was hers to lose.
Really?
Yeah.
So I thought there was... the whole way through, I thought it was Annie. And then right at the end, on that date, and the fact of her getting the overnight, I was like, well, maybe just that time. I always thought Shenae had a shot, but there was something kind of crazy about the way Moses just couldn't help himself. Any time there was he had an active decision and who to spend time with, was always Annie.
Yeah, that's true. And I felt really strongly. I mean, I'm an Annie stan, so I felt really strongly about Annie the whole way through. And I was going into this last episode steeling myself for either no Rose or Shenae getting it. Because I felt that this week, once he'd broken the seal of the kiss with Shenae, they seemed to be kissing a lot and very, very handsy with each other. And then there was even a point where they forgot the cameras, like the GoPro was on the scooter when he picked her up to take her to meet the family. And the GoPro caught them taking off their helmets and having a pash before they went in to meet the family. So it was a really legitimately candid moment. And in that time, they chose to get cozy.
I can only imagine that Shenae is feeling pretty messed up by it because she spent the night, like basically they had that big chunk of time, no cameras, that he knows her in a way that had they both not had that no camera time equally, then, it's sort of all in the game.
Yeah.
But to spend the time to really be very confident, it's Annie.
Yeah.
It's just quite harsh. She was so exposed.
She was.
Yeah, I feel bad for her.
I do too, but I also found Shenae a little bit boring, a little bit dull.
A little bit sort of making up rumours about other people being into open relationships.
Yeah, that's not the best. So we've kind of given away what happens at the end there. Annie gets the final rose. I'm shook.
It's also like a really nice romantic
It's beautiful.
scene.
Like Moses, it wasn't like a I've had a lovely time with you and will you accept this rose? It was like he said, it feels right. Actually, what he said was, my mate says if it's light, then it's right, or something. But they do have that goofy, fun time together, and
He held a really good long pause, and there is definitely a sense of quite deep feelings. Like some of the bachelors/bachelorettes in New Zealand have felt like let's give it a good old Kiwi try. Maybe we'll go on a couple of dates.
even Lexi to Hamish was like, there's no one else I'd like to spend the summer with.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, he seemed to really dig Annie, and then he was like, this last rose, I want to give it to you, which is not how it goes, by the way. It's like, will you accept this final rose?
At least they've got
Duffed
one.
it at the very last.
They've got one.
But then he asked her if she'd accept the ring. He just got his lines mixed up. And then they had that amazing drone pull-out shot that revealed all the crew. I love that. I love that so much. And I'm like, look at all the crew. Oh, It's not that many crew.
It's clearly not been that many
I don't know if there's
crew.
any lighting going on there. Where's the food unit?
Yeah.
But what a lovely end to what was otherwise I don't know, just not a strong season.
Oh, I feel like if they hadn't completely aced the ending, that it was sort of like had to be the end of the franchise.
Right.
Here.
You think they've just put in a clutch performance?
Well, I still don't think they'll come back because they tend to do that with these New Zealand reality franchises. Give them 3 years of slowly diminishing returns, and then they need a new thing because the costs of making each of them seem to be roughly similar. It just feels like the only way they can make it is by making heaps of it for not much money. And last time it was just 1 million episodes. This time it was, doing 2 versions of it back to back and compressing the schedules. It clearly doesn't make a great product. I'm sure that the ratings will reflect that. And I think it might be just time to put the thing gently down. I'd love it if we did like a final send-off of a Bachelor in Paradise,
Yeah.
Be a nice way to say goodbye, get some old mates back together. But this one, even despite them making the ending work, the vast majority of it was just a slog.
Can I ask you then, if you took the Bachelorette with Lexi and the Bachelor with Moses, which do you think was the stronger watch?
Oh, Lexi by far.
Yeah.
By far. Because she was brilliant and she got the best out of those guys, whereas I think some combination of Moses and the scheduling just really made it quite a grim watch.
Yeah, I don't think we reached the potential there because the cast of women was actually great. And I don't want to put all the blame on Moses because, as we've talked about, the compressed nature of how they shot really didn't give him a chance. He really didn't have a chance. And he's already someone who's got an image to think about.
True.
I'd like to suggest that next time they don't, if there's a next time, God willing for me, because I love it, that they don't choose a celebrity. I mean, I think you think it's a great idea because it pulls all the star power into the show, but they're too self-conscious. There's too much at stake for them in terms of their reputation and probably contractual obligations outside of the show itself. You just want someone who's just like Lexi, like total babe, really wants to find someone to spend their life with and really just to put it all in.
Yeah, completely unself-conscious and threw herself into it. Honestly, I'm stoked it's finished. I'm really excited about watching The Apprentice.
That's what you're going to say after the final rose, which is bound to be historically...
It's not going to be good.
No, but I do want to know if Annie and Moses are still together.
Well, they are.
You know that?
I already know that in my heart.
That's not helpful.
I think they're going to die together.
Well, I hope that's true.
Yeah, I really believe in them.
I want to follow them on Instagram and see them get up to hijinks. I want to see a side of stage at the shows,
Yeah.
I want to see him having dinner with her family on Instagram.
Yeah, I just believe in them,
Well, that's good.
which is not where I expect it to be at the end of the season.
I am looking forward to Pop Stars.
Yeah.
That's coming soon. What else is coming?
Heaps of stuff. More
So
Celebrity
much.
Treasure
More
Island.
Celebrity Treasure Island.
Yeah.
And of course, we're still in the thick of Married at First Sight Australia, and Alex and I will be recapping that. That'll be out tomorrow.
Aren't they pulling the block back from the weird post-lockdown break as well?
Yeah, the block's coming back too. There's so much reality TV ahead, and
I
we
reckon
will be
there's gonna
there
be-
for some of it.
And there's going to be some Discovery Channel franchises arrive in New Zealand too.
Can't wait. Hey, thanks, Duncan,
Thanks.
for going on this love journey with me.
It's no one else I'd rather do it, okay?
Thank you so much, Jonathan. It's been a real treat, and we really appreciated your musical insights today.
Thanks. I've been riveted to the podcast.
We promise we'll continue to keep you riveted with our coverage of future reality TV stuff. If you want to go and join the Real Pod Corner, it's facebook.com/groups/The Real Pod. Thank you, Duncan. It's been a ride. Let's get the hell out of this batch hell.
Whoa! Kia ora, I'm Duncan Grieve, founder of The Spinoff. You can help us keep all of The Spinoff's award-winning journalism free for everybody by becoming a member today at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Kia ora e te iwi, Te Aihe Butler here, podcast manager at The Spinoff. If you enjoy listening to our podcasts, consider supporting our mahi by signing up to become a Spinoff member at thespinoff.co.nz/donate. The Spinoff Podcast Network.